Let's go ahead and start chapter 2, section 5. Now, this is just kind of a lot of examples here with order of operations and the applications that involve signed numbers, integers especially. All right. And, back when in an earlier section, we talked about doing these kind of problems with order of operations, I reminded you that one of the strategies that I'd like to kind of just follow is just kind of taking it slow and steady, not trying to do too much. So just do one step at a time and rewrite the problem, do it again. All right, just try to just do one step at a time. And just, of course, you have to follow order of operations. You have to, hopefully those are becoming more intuitive to you at this point. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and start. We're just going to do a bunch of examples. That's all this is really. It's just kind of a lot of examples of integers. What you could do is you could just pause the video and you can go through these on your own and just see how you do compared with what I got. But yeah, so on this one right here, we've got -12 minus 3. We're doing parentheses first. I should say that. We're doing parentheses. That's the first thing you're going to do. And that makes -15. So I'm going to rewrite it. So you got 18, -18. Oops, sorry, I wrote -18. We got 18 minus -15. Now notice there's a minus sign right there. That's still there. And this came out to be negative, right, when we did the difference of -12 and 3. So -18 minus -15, that really is plus, right? These two negatives cancel each other out. They become plus 15. The answer is 33. All right, for number 2, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to do parentheses first. Now, the thing that you might want to note here is that you do parentheses here, and notice there's an exponent outside the parentheses. So we're going to take care of that after we have dealt with what's inside the parentheses. So we're going to do -19. -19 plus, and 7 plus 4 is 11. And then drop down to 3. So it's 11 to the third power. And then, yeah, so now we're going to take care of, when we do this, take care of the exponent before you add or subtract anything. And 11 to the third power is 33, right? Totally, 33. You guys get 30. No, it's not. It's not 33. It's 11 times 11 times 11, right? 11 times 11 is 121. And then we want to do 121 times 11, which is going to be what? It's going to be 1, 3, 3, 1. I'm trying to do that in my head. Yeah. So 1,331. I'm going to rewrite it again. So we got -19 plus 1,331 at this point. And at this point, we've got a negative, we have a positive, and so we're going to subtract them. So we're going to do 1,331 minus 19, and that's going to be, just do the math here. 11 minus 9 is 2, and then 2 minus 1 is 1. It's 12, and just drop down the 1 and the 3. So 1312. So 1,312 for that one. All right, next one. Next one. All right, so we've got parentheses, we've got multiplication. So let's take care of the parentheses. Take care of this part first. 32 minus 6 is 26. So I'll rewrite it. So 18 plus -7 times 26. All right, so you're doing that. All right, now at this point, we're going to take care of multiplication. So do the multiplication here. So we're going to do 7 times 26, and that's a positive, or a negative, I should say, times a positive, which is a negative, and that comes out to -182. So you got 18 plus -182. All right. And then now that's a positive. You're adding a positive and a negative. So you're going to really subtract those. And the negative definitely has a higher absolute value, right? So it's going to come out negative in the end. And that comes out to negative 164. All right, moving on here. And I'm just kind of following my own advice here, which is just try to do one step at a time. Don't take on too much at once. All right, so like right here, take care of this. Take care of the parentheses. We could also take care of this too. I know I just said don't do too much at once, but you could take care of that part too, because that doesn't, this part does not affect over here, right? That does not hurt it. So let's go ahead and do that. So you got negative 19. Instead of writing negative minus negative 3, I'm going to write just plus 3 plus negative 2, and then times, and then 8 plus negative 4 is 4. Okay, you got that, and then let's do the multiplication here. So negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. All right, and that's all I'm doing at this stage. So negative 19 plus 3 plus negative 8. All right, slow and steady wins the race here. Now let's just go left to right here. So negative 19 plus 3 is negative 16. It's got negative 16 plus negative 8. And negative 16 plus negative 8, those have the same sign, so we're going to add their absolute values, and that comes out to negative 24. You keep the sign, right? 16 plus 8 is 24. Keep it negative, because they're both negative. All right, let's do the parentheses first on number 5. The parentheses first, and within the parentheses, follow order of operations as well. We want to do that part first. So 3 squared, that's 9, right? No, that's 9. I was going to say that's 6, right? I was trying to be smart aleck, but no, that is 9. That is 9. So you got, rewrite it. So you got 20 plus negative 4, and I'm just going to do that. So 9 minus 6. That's all I did. That's all I did. All right, so we still got parentheses to deal with. So 9 minus 6 is 3. You got 20 plus negative 4 times 3. All right, now this is multiplication. You want to do that before you add or subtract anything. So that's negative 12. So you got 20 plus negative 12. And the answer is 8, right? 20 plus negative 12, we're subtracting those. And that's a hard part, when you're doing order of operations, when you do it right, it's very tempting. Notice how this 20 was the very first thing in the problem, and we didn't touch that 20 until the very last step, right? That 20 hung along for the ride until the very last step. So it's hard. It's tempting to want to add or subtract that 20 and put it with something, because it's the first thing you see in the problem, but it's really the last problem that we work out, because we have to take care of addition and subtraction last. All right, let's do the parentheses first in this one. Negative 6 divided by 3. And I should also note there's an exponent outside the parentheses, so let's attach that onto it when we're done. So you got negative 3 plus 2 times, sorry, negative 3, negative 2 squared. All right, so that just dropped down there. All right, so now we want to take care of, at this point, take care of the exponent. All right, I know we have multiplication here, right, with a 2, but we want to really take care of the exponent first. You got negative 3 plus 2, and then negative 2 squared. Negative 2 squared, just kind of keep in mind, negative 2 squared means negative 2 times negative 2, which is the negative times the negative, which is a positive, right? It's a positive 4. So that comes out to 4 right there. All right, and then we're going to do multiplication before we add anything to negative 3. See, again, that's just like the last example. That negative 3 is right in front, but it's really the last thing we're going to work with. All right, now we can use the negative 3 because it makes 5. And that's it. All right, yeah, these are getting a little bit longer as we go along. Now, also, I think this is worth a little bit of mention here. You hear a lot especially with order of operations, that parentheses need to be worked out first. But sometimes parentheses, I think these throw people off sometimes. Like right here, the parentheses around -4 really don't mean much. They really don't mean much of anything other than it's just emphasizing the fact that 4 is negative. Same thing goes, well, no, not the same thing goes for -9.82. But sometimes that throws people off, like, what is even the meaning of that negative around the -4? But it could very well be left off and it still means the same thing. All right, it's still -4 with or without parentheses. All right, so let's take care of the parentheses here first. And then within the parentheses, we're going to take care of the multiplication in the parentheses first. So that's what I'm going to do first. Then that's it. So 3 times -4 plus, and then I'm going to do parentheses. 52 was not, we didn't do anything with that. 4 times -2 is -8. So 4 plus -8, like that. All right, I didn't write more parentheses. It gets a little bit messy when you put parentheses inside parentheses. But yeah, 52 plus -8. And then, well, you can work this out too. That makes a plus. So plus 9.82, 9 and 82 hundredths. Okay, so now we've got to take care, let's work this out. 52 plus -8, that's what, 44, right? Rewrite everything. 3 times -4 plus 44 plus 9 and 82 hundredths, 9.82. All right, so now we got multiplication. Let's do that. 3 times -4, that's -12. So we got -12 plus 44 plus 9 and 82 hundredths. Now just go left to right at this point. Right, so you got 12 plus 44. That makes, you're really going to subtract those because they have different signs. They have different signs, so we're going to do 44 minus 12, which is 32. And the positive has the higher absolute value, so we're going to put 32 plus 9.82, and then just add it up. So 32 plus 9, that's 41, right? So I'm just going to put 41.82, 41 and 82 hundredths. All right, number 8. So you can see, like, these could be complicated, but as long as you take it one step at a time, I think you're on the right track there for these kind of problems. Just take it, don't try not to do too much at once. Okay. All right. And then, all right. So for this one, all right, we got a lot going on. Now we got parentheses here, but really the parentheses don't mean more than just the fact that it's a negative number that's inside of it. So I think we can kind of not worry about that. So I am going to, let's kind of focus on the exponents. Let's do 2 cubed and 4 squared. Okay. We could also take care of this right here. These two negatives make a positive, right? So we can do all that, I think, in the first step. So 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2, right? 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay. So that makes 8 plus -16 divided by, and then right here, 4 squared, that's 16, right? 4 times 4 times 5. And then right here, this makes a plus. So I'm going to write plus 3. Okay, now at this point, all we have is addition. We have a negative, we have division. So, we have multiplication. So since we have division and multiplication together, it's whatever comes first from left to right. So the division occurs first. So we'll do that first. All right, so we got 8 plus, and then -16 divided by itself, -16, well, not itself, but -16 divided by +16 is -1. So -1, and then times 5 plus 3. Okay, and then we're going to multiply this right there. -1 times 5. -1 times 5 is what? That is -5. So you got 8 plus -5 plus 3. And I'm just going left to right at this point. 8 plus negative 5 is 3. And then 3 plus 3 is 33. No, it's not. It's 6. It is. All right, we're getting down to the bottom of this. All right, so we've got on this one, we got parentheses. Let's do that. Practicing this is pretty good for you, right? Just get better at math when you do it. So on this one, we got -6. All right, so the parentheses make 12 minus 15. We could think of that, I'm gonna write it up here. We could think of that really as 12 plus -15, right? And the negatives have the higher absolute value. So that is gonna come out to -3. So -3 plus, and we might as well, we could do this right here. We can take care of that as well at the same time. So 2 to the third power is 8. All right, and then let's do the multiplication here. Negative times a negative is a positive. Negative times a negative is positive, so that's positive 18. 18 plus 8 is 1,000. No, it's not. It's 26. It's 26. There you go. Now this right here, now we got a fraction. Now fraction, you could think of the numerator, you could think of the part that's in the numerator and think of the part in the denominator as a type of grouping. It's grouped. So we want to kind of do those independent of themselves. So all right, so in the top here, let's take care of this part first, right? Don't like the way I use that. I'm going to do the multiplication here. We could do this as well, right there. We can make that a plus. So 4 times -6 is -24. -24 plus 8 plus 2. All right. And then in the bottom here, let's just go left to right. So negative 15 minus 7 is really 8, right? You know what that is? 8 plus 2 is 10. All right, and then we can kind of go, I'm going to write it up here. So -24 plus 8 plus 2. -24 plus 8 is -16. -16 plus 2 is -14. All right, so what do we got here? We got -14 over 10. -14 over 10. Now, -14, I mean, we could think of it divided by 10, but we can just leave it as a fraction. We can just simplify it, though. So -14 over 10 is really what? -7/5? -7/5. Or you can write negative, what is that, 1.4? Either one is fine. Okay, in the application problems, we've got in Detroit, the high temperatures in degrees Fahrenheit for 5 days in January were -12, -8, -3, 6, and -15. Not great. Okay, what was the average temperature for those 5 days? Well, to find average, that's finding the mean, right? That's when you add them all up and you divide by how many numbers there are. So we got to do that first. Let's add them all up. So -12 plus -8 plus -3 plus, I'm going to write -15 next. I'm going to put all the negatives together and then I'm going to add 6 last. Okay, so -12 plus -8 plus -3 plus -15 plus 6. All right, because it's easier when you add up all the negatives. We're basically just adding the absolute values, right? Right here, that makes -20. Right here, that makes -18. And then plus 6. Right here, -8 or -20 plus -18 is -38. -38 plus 6 is -32. All right, and then so the average, when you find the average, we're just going to do -32 divided by 5. -32 divided by 5, which is, well, that's going to be negative, right? That's going to be negative what? Let's do it off to the side here. 32 divided by 5. 5 goes into 32 6 times, right? 6 times, and you get, I'm going to do a decimal. So you got So root of 0 there. The 25 goes into 20 4 times, right? So negative 6.4 degrees. So the average temperature over those 5 days was negative 6 and 4/10 degrees. All right. The local movie theater reported losses of $475 each day for 3 days during the pandemic. What was their total loss? Well, we're just going to multiply that by 475. Now, it's important to note here that if that's a loss, we got to think of that as a negative. So it's really negative $475 times 3 days. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. So we're going to do 475 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. 21 plus 1 is 22. And then 12 plus 2 is 14. Right, so the movie theater lost $1,425. I should really use a dollar sign here. Movie theaters were losing a lot of money during that pandemic. Luckily, that's over. A deep sea exploring ship is pulling up a diver at a rate of 25. I think there's a missing word there, but 25 feet. I bet. Yeah, 25 feet per minute. The diver is now 200 feet below surface. How deep was the diver 10 minutes ago? All right, so 25 feet per minute. All right, so that's what's going on. And the diver was now 200 feet below surface. How deep was the diver 10 minutes ago? So we're going to do for this one, I don't know, 10 minutes, right? So 10 minutes, 25 feet per minute is going to be 25 times 10, right? 25 times 10 is 250 feet. All right. So it was at 250. Well, the diver went up 250 feet. So now it's at 200 feet below sea level. So if I drop, I don't know if this makes any sense to you, but the diver was, like this. I guess you can say this is like 10 minutes right here, right? And it moved 250 feet, right? And now it's at right here. It's at 200. So this is minus 200. All right. So minus 200. So basically, what was the diver at originally, right? So you can just kind of add those, right? So negative, think of it as negative 200 plus negative 250, which is negative 450 feet, if that makes any sense.